Have you actually seen how much they charge for a vegetable broth? That should not be acceptable. It's just too much. You're paying like, how much? Around $6 for 1 liter of veg broth. So today I'm going to be cooking a vegetable broth. And I'm going to be cooking it in order to use it, so stick around if you want to see the vegetable tagine. So today we are going to be more on the mushroomy kind of a side. So I have some mushrooms here. Those are not the freshest mushrooms, I have to tell you. They've been in the fridge for a couple of days. And then I started thinking, when producers produce the broth, do they actually put the freshest mushrooms in there? I had some celery sticks. You can start with 2 celery sticks. The bunch of celery actually does give kind of a distinct flavor, and some people might call it soapy. But it's a little bit, it gets even a little bit spicy, I would say. Maybe a little bit on the soapy side, but I still prefer it. It's quite distinct. Here you can see a bunch of carrots. I used only 2 carrots out of there. We add garlic, we add onion. Here we have some miso paste. You can use white miso paste or brown miso paste. And my miso paste is going to look like, and that's going to be around 4 tablespoons. And then we add the spices. You can spice it up however you like it, however you prefer to have it. And we're going to have some parsley and black pepper here as well. So parsley can intensify the soapy flavor. So if you're not a big fan of parsley or coriander, you can leave it aside. On the commercial vegetable broths, they can also sometimes add some spring onions, some leeks. So do get ready to improvise a little bit. If you have some special preferences, this is very much welcome. So after the choppy chop, we are ready to boil some water. That's around 250 milliliters of water or 1 cup. We bring it to the boil, of course, and then add carrot, onions, we add garlic, and then we add celery as well. We let it all sit for around 5 minutes, let it simmer, infuse the water a little bit. And then we are ready to add the rest of the vegetables. I also added the miso paste at this step, although you can perfectly add it later. That's gonna be a thick broth. So on the next step, we need to add 1.7 liters of water or around 7 cups. Bring it to the boil, mix it all really well, and then let it sit on the low heat for 1.5 hours. That takes long. You want to cook it on the low heat for around 1.5 hours. So this way you get all the nutrients extracted. Just don't forget to lower the heat, because this way you will extract the nutrients, but you won't ruin the nutrients. And this is an important bit. If you're just going to boil the shit out of it, it's going to be all gone, you know? It got quite late by the time I reached this point, but basically your next target is to cool down the broth a little bit and put it all into a big blender. Just remember that you have at least 1.7 liters of water there after it all boiled out a little bit. So we just add all the broth and mix it really well. So this way it turns very creamy, thick but creamy and quite nice. You will feel the smell. It smells fantastic. It's so aromatic. Smells crazy. It really does remind me of a smell of a muggy cube, but just way better, and I also know what's inside. So as I said, this particular broth is going to be very thick and kind of mushroomy, so you can either spice it up or dilute it with a little bit of more water, and this is going to thicken it down, and you can use it from time to time. Normally when I use it instead of oil if I want to heat stuff up because I don't have a microwave, or I just use it in dishes when I want to cook something, and sometimes I do dilute it with some water. Now, how are you going to store it? You can store it in a fridge for up to 3 to 5 days. Looking at the state of the broth and the smell, you can pretty much figure it out whether or not it's still usable, still edible, or you can freeze it in the freezer. I have this kind of bigger ice shapes, ice forms, and I just froze it. Look how beautiful it is. It went a little bit overboard, but I would still let it melt a little bit and reuse it. So I would just melt it down, just one cube at a time, and use it while cooking. So let's see how that goes. I never tried to use this particular shape before. This is a little bit time consuming, but it's totally worth it. It's been not my first time cooking vegetable broth, but I don't do this very often. It does add a little bit of more flavor to whatever you cook, instead of just using water or instead of just using oil, of course. And of course, subscribe if you like the content. If you don't like the content, please don't subscribe. Like and share, and this doesn't cost much, but this does support me a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.